One of the easiest improvements to our horrible traffic problems has been hiding in plain sight. North King Street. North King Street begins at Oahu's worst traffic choke point, the dreaded Middle Street intersection, where it exits the freeway just before the bottleneck. King could provide an alternate route to get around this gridlock, and it can be opened up to free-flowing traffic with just a little work. This would partly relieve the burden on H1 and improve traffic flow there as well. You might think you're familiar with North King Street between Middle Street and downtown, but did you know that it changes width 19 different times during its 2-mile length? It widens from 2 lanes to 4 lanes to 5 lanes to 6 lanes and then narrows again up and down. Even where the road has 6 lanes, which is for 2/3 of its entire length, parking is allowed all day, effectively reducing this wide pavement to a 4-lane road. Relatively minor construction and sensible planning could fix this ridiculous situation and double the road's capacity, providing a new lane for express buses and carpools, zipping travelers to downtown in minutes. This would do much more good for our traffic than building a monstrous elevated train at perhaps 2% of the cost. An express bus lane would carry more passengers than rail and could also be shared by carpoolers. Honolulu's terrible traffic problems are partly due to a shortage of lanes, and yet here we are wasting a precious artery that could play a significant role in reducing congestion. Traffic cannot flow smoothly with constant changes in road width and blockage by rush hour parking. As a result, North King is an underutilized 4-lane road despite having 6 lanes. This is a very inefficient use of a major thoroughfare. North King Street needs to be fixed. Most of it is 6 lanes already, and it can very easily become 6 lanes throughout the entire length. The choke points where the road does narrow are caused by simple obstructions, including parking lots, overly wide sidewalks, empty dirt yards, garbage dumpsters, storage areas, and arbitrary curb extensions. Nearly all of the widening suggested here involves relatively easy lane extensions into those underutilized spaces, and there will still be excellent, improved sidewalks for the entire length of the renewed street. King Street needs planning and care instead of being ignored the way it has been for decades, as much of Kalihi has been generally neglected. This road improvement can help revitalize the neighborhood while at the same time easing Oahu's regional traffic problems, especially for those residents coming in from the leeward side. At the beginning of North King Street, it's only 2 lanes wide, which could very easily be made 3 lanes. There's plenty of room in the shoulder. It's 4 lanes two-way in the next block, quickly widens from 4 lanes to 6 upon reaching Umi Street, and then continues wide until Mokawe'a Street 7 blocks later, where it narrows to 5 lanes. It remains narrow for the next 4 blocks until reaching Kalihi Street. This narrowing is caused by a very wide sidewalk, a garbage dumpster, some parking lots, with no actual buildings in the way. It would be relatively simple to add a lane here and move the utility poles. Beyond Kalihi Street in the long block passing Farrington High School, King breezes along as 6 lanes, but a lane of parked cars reduces this to 5. At the intersection with Hofftailing, it is still 6 lanes, but striped as 5 lanes, with the very wide right turn lane that 2 lanes of cars usually squeeze into. Yet another example of the inefficient, thoughtless planning of this roadway. The intersection on the other side of Hofftailing is partly blocked by an old wooden building on the Makai side that juts into the roadway, taking up a lane and obstructing traffic. This is one of only 2 small old wooden structures that probably need to be removed for the widening project. Not bad for a complete 2-mile enhanced corridor. A major bus stop is just beyond the building, and yet buses have to snake and twist their way around the protrusion to reach the curb. Beyond Hofftailing, things get rather chaotic for a couple of blocks, becoming, in turn, 6 lanes, 5, 6, 5, 6, and then 5 lanes wide, for no apparent reason other than a sidewalk that keeps changing width. You can understand this bizarre irregularity a little better from an aerial perspective. The width changes are caused by several curb and sidewalk extensions, which do nothing but create a couple more free parking spaces. A paved lane on the Mauka side hosts a garbage dumpster and an unused parking lot remnant. None of this makes any sense. Just after this, at Walter Lane, we've got about 5.5 lanes, but suddenly the road narrows to 4 lanes when it reaches Long and Mau lanes. This restriction is caused on the Makai side by yet another widening of the sidewalk, this time used by an automobile repair shop to double park cars and store their dumpster. The Mauka side obstruction is perhaps the strangest of all blockages on North King. It's a short block of diagonal parking fronting the shops that juts into the street right-of-way. It's like a little stretch of quaint New England village with angled parking, convenient for customers but not very appropriate for downtown Honolulu. When it becomes 4 lanes, there's a real problem if somebody is making a left turn, as you see here. There's only 1 lane available for through traffic. At the end of this 4-lane block, King jumps back out to 6 lanes. But 1 block later, at Morris Lane, we are back to 5. Fortunately, the bridge across Kapalama Canal is 6 lanes, so that avoids any serious reconstruction. We continue another couple of blocks at 6 wide until reaching the Palama Fire Station at Austin Lane, where it's back to 5 lanes for the block at Tamashiro Fish Market. Part of the narrowing on the Mauka side here is due to a residential front yard, a dirt lot used for parking cars. After this, at Kaumakapili Church, we are back out to 6, but then 2 blocks later at Pool Lane, you guessed it, back to 5. This narrowing of the street is created once again by an arbitrary extension of the sidewalk, which here is littered with abandoned shopping carts and with a small used car lot at the corner of Akepo Lane. The Makai side then expands to 3 lanes, but the Mauka half of King goes down to 2 lanes because of a parking lot and a storage area for slabs of marble. Not a very important use of land for a main road in our primary urban center. In the final block before Liliha Street, we are back out to 6 lanes. And then King rolls into downtown where it meets Baratania Street at Ala Park, briefly enjoying a grand combined width of 12 lanes. This has been a ridiculous ride. North King Street needs to be fixed. Our noble King has been ignored, neglected, abused, and underused. Now it's time to correct this problem. Let's make it 6 lanes all the way and prohibit parking during rush hour. These 6 unobstructed lanes could then be put to the best use by our creative traffic engineers. Considering the directional flow in the morning inbound and the afternoon outbound, it would perhaps be most efficient to have 4 lanes coming in during rush hour and then 4 lanes going out in the afternoon, easily controlled with removable traffic cones and synchronized traffic lights. The 2 center lanes can be reversible, morning inbound, afternoon outbound. And during non-peak times, the lanes flow as usual, 3 in each direction with parking allowed. This would provide 4 lanes in the rush hour direction. The left lane is for turning and passing, and then you have a lane for express bus and carpool, and the 3rd lane is for local traffic, and the 4th lane at the curb is for local traffic and the local bus stops and right turns. King Street would now have a true dedicated bus lane, also for HOV carpools, with a tremendous capacity of 10,000 people per hour that would revolutionize our daily commute. For example, maximum capacity of rail is just 6,000 people. Most of them will be standing up during a rail commute, whereas 10,000 people per hour can be transported in a bus lane, mostly sitting down in comfortable seats. This can be part of a new approach to comprehensive traffic solutions for Honolulu with similar kinds of innovative measures on our other streets. With this approach, we don't need to build an elevated train. We've got enough capacity on our existing streets if we manage them properly. The work to create this project would provide good jobs for our local construction industry, building an extremely useful product at relatively little expense or environmental impact. No major trees would be cut down and very little actual change to the structure of the neighborhood would have to take place. This modernized North King Street would seriously enhance commuter traffic while also creating an improvement to the quality of life for the people of Kalihi that would increase their mobility, revive retail businesses, and stimulate pride in a renewed neighborhood.